If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, comment, and subscribe to my YouTube channel, as well as follow me and subscribe to me on all my other social media platforms. What's up, Thrashers, and welcome back once again to the Thrash Maniac 99 YouTube channel, and I am back with another album review for you guys, and today I am talking about the latest from Swedish death doomers, Runemagick, with Beyond the Cenotaph of Mankind. So yeah, this is, I don't know how many albums, I think this is their 13th studio album, if I'm not mistaken. These guys have a lot of releases, so let's just say that. So yeah, Runemagick, Swedish death doom band that's been around since the mid to late 90s. Well, they had a hiatus after 2007, got back together in 2017, and have since now released 3 albums since they've returned. I believe I went over their last album that came out in 2019. I can't quite remember the title off the top of my head. But yeah, basically, with this album especially, 6 tracks, nearly 48 minutes. Basically, this album has quite a few different modes going for it, and that's sinister evilness, atmosphere, ethereal qualities, and just being downright disgusting. Like, kicking things off with Archaic Magic After the Red Sun, right away you get like a combination of like sinister and ethereal atmosphere. And then some of these riffs that you get on, especially this track and the second track, Endless Night and Eternal End, some like very slow like Black Sabbath riffs, almost like stuff from the song Black Sabbath, or like even stuff where they get even slower somehow. But also on the opening track, there was a little bit of almost like a Candlemass kind of, I don't want to say epic quality, but it has a little more like a bombastic quality to it, if that makes any sense. And then even occasionally on this album, you get some like evil dissonance on top of some of these riffs. Like, because I think you got 2 guitars, one that's playing like the real meat and potatoes, and the other one providing more dissonance and atmosphere in the background to kind of make a more horror movie or just a creepy vibe or evil, sinister vibe overall. And there are quite a few tracks on here where you do get occasional punky D beats that kind of feel like classic Swedish death metal, not just death doom, but like, yeah, in Archaic Magic, but also in songs like The Storm Road Beyond the Firmament, as well as Nocturnal Deities of Winter. Those 3 tracks, you get like an occasional like D-beat section with like some tremolo riffs, and these tremolo riffs scream more death metal. They don't really scream black metal to any extent. But even in like Endless Night and Eternal End, you even get a little bit of almost like a Sabbath swing, like a slightly slower Black Sabbath swinging groove that comes in, but then you get some like downright evil chugs going on here. Then we get into Revocation of Spectral Paths, which was the shortest track of the album at about 4.5 minutes. And this is the first of quite a few times where you could almost think you're listening to like old school Hooded Menace, like Fulfill the Curse and Never Cross the Dead. Yeah, like this track, as well as The Storm Road Beyond the Firmament, and the final track, the title track, Beyond the Cenotaph of Mankind, you get a lot of Hooded Menace vibes, like in the way you get the riffs, but with like a little bit of like a melodic approach, but it just sounds evil and downright diabolical. But even in like Revocation of Spectral Paths, you do get kind of like a slow gallop towards the end to kind of up the brutality a little bit more. Yeah, The Storm Road Beyond the Firmament definitely has a little more atmosphere than some of the other tracks, I would say. But again, like more in the backdrop, like the sinister nature of the atmosphere is pretty much in the backdrop, pretty much like you get on the whole album. Like I said, main mean potato riffs with like a ethereal atmosphere in the back. But in the title track itself, Beyond the Cenotaph of Mankind, this song kind of gets a little bit almost funeral doom. Like, it starts off really, really slow, but then it gets into, like, this cavernous atmosphere that makes it feel like you're listening to a doomy incantation song. But, then you get, like, again, those Hooded Menace vibes because of a really gross doom breakdown that goes on towards the end, and then cool, clean melody. And I like how some of these songs begin with a bit of like a clean melody and end with a clean melody. But throughout the whole album, whenever you get like a riff that sticks out, they won't abandon that riff. It's like they start off with a certain riff, and on a couple tracks, they'll end with that riff that begins. Kind of like, I would say, Endless Night and Eternal End, you get a cool riff that begins, and it ends with that riff to let you know we haven't forgotten about that. But yeah, as far as the production, like the guitar tone itself, it's I want to say it's Boss HM2 tone because it sounds so much like the Buzzsaw tone. So I'm just gonna go ahead and say Boss HM2. If it's not, I apologize. But it's very gritty in the production and the solid mix, though. I do wish, again, and I always bring it up, I wish the bass had a little more oomph in the mix, in the final mix. But these melodies that you get on here are just downright disgusting and evil sounding. The lead work on this album was just all about feel and providing darkness. The drums stay in like a slow doom pocket, but occasionally we'll get a little more groovy, and like I said, a few tracks, you get a little bit of that like punky Swedish death metal D beat. The vocals, low and absolutely gross. So, yeah, basically the whole album, like I said, it's all about evil, ethereal qualities. And while that's a big positive, that could also be seen as a bit of a negative because some riffs, they do hang on to certain riffs for a little bit too long. And I know that that's a thing with Doom, but I would say this is maybe even long for Doom to some extent. It's like they would hang on these certain riffs, and while you would get cool payoffs and you would go into another riff, or you get like this sudden like, ooh, before like either a big tremolo riff comes in or into a nice groove. So while they hang on certain riffs for a bit longer than they maybe should have, they do pay it off in a good way. So overall, besides that gripe, this is a pretty solid album. I'm going to give this one an 8 out of 10. Like, there's no bad track on here. Like, every track has moments that definitely deliver. It's just maybe kind of add more to some of these riffs and maybe add a couple more riffs to like kind of break up how long certain riffs go. But again, this is just one man's opinion. What the hell do I know? But yeah, 8 out of 10. And that is my review of Beyond the Cenotaph of Mankind by Runemagick. What did you guys think of this album? Let me know in the comments below. And until next time, keep your horns high and your dreams wet.